What is going on, and welcome back, guys. Today we're going to be ranking all of the main Pool 1 decks from best to worst to put a bow on Pool 1. I want one main central location with all of the deck graphics and deck codes, so you have a one-stop shop for everything you need. Now, as a friendly reminder, I want to remind you guys that the beauty of Marvel Snap is that you can win with so many different decks. So I encourage you guys to experiment, create your own decks, look at the decks today and get some inspiration, and then add or get rid of some cards and add your own. Really, the main thing you want to focus on is being consistent with one deck, or being consistent with some cards that you start to learn how to combo them, what counters them, and what locations are going to favor the cards that you love as a Marvel Snap player. Also, in addition to today's video, I've covered a lot of these decks before, so keep your eyes peeled for the top right-hand corner. You're going to see a card up above, and you can click that to go to a full video breakdown if you want to find out more about these decks. All right, let's get started. We've got 6 different decks we're going to talk about today. Yeah, there's so many different variations of decks, but these are the main ones that you're going to want to climb with in Pool 1. I did leave out one build in particular, the Destroy and Discard combo. Apocalypse lovers, I know he's great, and he's going to get a lot better in Pool 2. But for now, you're just missing so many cards to make him work. American Chavez and the Hulk are just way better than the Apocalypse in Pool 1. But don't worry, Pool 2, you get plenty of it. But today, we're going to focus on the top 6 options. We have the Move deck. This is going to be our lowest deck for today's video. And hey, listen, Move decks might be our lowest ranking deck today, but damn it, are they not the most fun that you can have? You can play with Move decks in Pool 1. They're not going to be super consistent. You're missing a lot of the competitive cards that you'll get in Pool 2, and even then, they're not a super strong deck. I would bump this deck up a little bit if you did unlock Miles Morales, but what you can do is start learning how to play a Move deck and climb plenty. Now, how you do that is not really focus on all power at the locations, but rather play your opponent. Keep them on their toes. Let them try to guess where you're going to be placing your cards, and get the hang of cards like Multiple Man and Heimdall on the last turn for a great turn 6 closer. So yes, at number 5, we have the Pool 1 Disrupt and Control deck. I did a full video breakdown on a Pool 2 deck with some variations for Pool 1. Unfortunately, again, you're missing some key components to ultimately control the opponent to a maximum effective level. But you can still get the hang of things with this deck, and it can still consistently win and counter plenty of the decks out there that you are going to face. Now, one of my favorite parts about this deck is it's loaded with counters like Cosmo and Enchantress, and by all means, it's a very solid deck. Really, the main issue is you're hoping for the YOLO Professor X play, which if you do land that, you can win plenty of games with him. But my biggest tip is to make sure you play him on top of a high scaling card like Bishop, that you can make sure you secure that location, and then have Angela and some other cards focusing on the other location. Still a great deck. You can definitely climb with it, but it'll come in at number 5. So I had a hard time placing this deck. Devil Dinosaur in its own right is just one of the best cards in Pool 1, if not one of my favorites. The main issue with him in Pool 1 is that you really rely on drawing him to win the matches with Devil Dinosaur. If you don't get him, it's a whole lot harder to win, but he does have cards that can complement him like Cable and Sentinel. You're going to get a lot more cards in Pool 2 like Agent 13, and again, you can check up above for a great video. But trust me, when we do the Pool 2 version of this video, it's going to be ranked a whole lot higher. Devil Dinosaur is just a great card all the way around, and feels like you have a lot of power at your fingertips on turn 5, and then you have a lot of turn 6 cards to seal another location. Now, as we enter the top 3 decks to use in Pool 1, I want to make a quick note. All of these decks are incredibly powerful in Pool 1, and the margins are paper thin. You can climb to infinite with any of these options, and they all excel in different areas depending on the locations and cards and who you're going against. The God of Asgard, the Odin Reveal base deck. Now, as of making this video, Black Panther is the current season. And if you do get Black Panther, this deck is probably going to skyrocket even further in the tier list, maybe towards the top of the decks here, because they just have such a great combo that early on. But Odin is going to be one of the first decks that you learn how to play in Marvel Snap. and it really teaches you the synergy behind the cards in this game. On-Reveal decks have incredible synergy that you can use and abuse all of the time, and mainly the reason I have it at number 3, again, paper-thin margins, is because with the Odin deck, you're giving your opponent pretty much the exact layout of your plan, right? Outside the spontaneity of White Tiger, they kind of know what you're going to do, and you're giving them the right strategy that they can play against. Whereas the other two decks keep them on their toes a bit more. But again, Odin's a great deck and is easily one of the best in Pool 1. Oh man, guys, the Spectrum Onslaught Ongoing deck is one of my personal favorites. Not only is it consistently winning your games, but the biggest thing about it and why you can use even a Pool 1 deck against Pool 3 later on is because it's consistent at winning high amounts of cubes. You're not going to win just 1 or 2 cubes with this deck. It's all about throwing your opponent off pretty much completely. You can do Onslaught into like Claw, Mr. Fantastic, and we've got a combo video that you guys can see up above for that. But then also, you can build on a lane with ongoing cards, and then you can go ahead and play Spectrum for the quick, cheeky boost to go ahead and seal the deal. Also, if you look at all of the cards as a whole, you're getting not 1, but 2 options for a powerful closer with Onslaught and Spectrum as opposed to just the Odin play. And a lot of the Pool 1 ongoing cards are extremely powerful. So if you don't know which deck to use and you don't want such a straightforward deck, like you want some options, this is definitely the go-to. Are you surprised? Like, really? What did you expect to be at the number 1 spot in Pool 1? Guys, the reason you see this deck everywhere is because the main counter, in fact, the instant counter to this deck is only made available in Pool 2, and that is Killmonger. This deck just ramps up so quickly, and again, it's all about just loading the battlefield with a bunch of 1-cost cards. Again, the chads at the zoo, you can see up above if you want the full breakdown. But odds are you're going to go up against this deck a ton, and the decks we have talked about before it have a bit more of a tough time being consistent to win against this deck because of the amount of power that they add to the weaker cards that they can throw out very early. Like in general, it's just super consistent. You have Strong Guy for a great finisher, Khazar to add to the 1 cost, and then Blue Marvel used to be balanced. I still think he's just a little bit too powerful at the moment. He's only 5 costs, and for what he does, it's just absolutely insane. So you put them all together in the chads at the zoo. They're just unstoppable in Pool 1. Now, with the ongoing decks or on-reveal, just try to keep them on their toes and do your best to read what they're trying to set up. And then once you get to Pool 2, man, just shut them down with Killmonger. It feels incredibly satisfying destroying every 1-cost card. All right, so there you have it. Let's put a bow on Pool 1. I don't know how many more Pool 1 videos I will make, but I wanted to make one convenient place. I'll put all of the deck guides down below. All the graphics will be in my Discord. And again, guys, I love opinions. Let me know down below which deck you use to climb or which one is your current favorite deck to use in the game in Pool 1. And we're going to do this exact format for Pool 2. And then eventually we can do this on a weekly basis with the meta decks out there in Pool 3. Again, if you are new to Marvel Snap, I'll put a bunch of different videos down below to help teach you the different games. And if you're also confused on what the heck pools are, we've got a video for that as well. So, guys, have a great time out there. Good luck using these decks. Experiment. Try a bunch of different combinations. And until the next video, happy snapping.
Shit.